Good morning, everybody. How are we? Fantastic. That's not the energy I'm looking for. I won't do the pantomime thing, but good morning. Come on. Thank you. How are we getting sustainability all wrong, and how can we do something about it? First of all, you're probably thinking, who on earth is this guy standing in front of you in a hoodie with a jacket on? So my name's Stewart Rogers. The real SJR is not just the name of my company. You'll find me on all the social media under that. If you want to continue the conversation after today, you'll find me on social media everywhere. But I've been a top-tier tech journalist for, let's just say, a very long time. All of the lines on my face are evidence of how long I've been in tech. And I normally do speeches on things like my research on mental health in the tech industry, or artificial intelligence, or blockchain, or emerging technologies. But for the last 3 years, I've been thinking about sustainability, how to make sure this planet remains inhabitable for all of us. Because it's kind of pointless for us to grow as human beings, for us to get better as human beings if we can't live here anymore because the planet can't hold us anymore. So let's get into it. Our home at the moment is in danger, huge danger. We've all seen the floods in Pakistan. I saw a video this very morning of Hurricane Fiona in Puerto Rico, literally flooding a river to the point where it pushed a bridge away. A bridge that is normally, because I know that spot, about 50 meters above the water. We are in huge danger. We have forest fires every single year. We have forest fires that engulf entire countries like Australia. We saw that recently. There's cyclones and hurricanes. We have incredible ice spells to the point where things that look like bridges are actually just ice bridges at this point. We are in huge danger. And we've been trying to do something about this for a long time. We introduced solar panels in 1954. Earth Day, the first Earth Day, 1970. UNESCO announced their World Heritage Sites to try and protect certain areas in 1972. We had low-energy light bulbs in 1976. Earth Summit started in 92. We had the Bag for Life, the Bag for Life, where you go and you buy one and then you use it again and again and again, 1998. Bangladesh was the first nation to do a full-blown plastic bag ban in 2002. And we even had Abu Dhabi say, okay, we're going to build a zero-carbon, zero-waste city. We're going to do that. We have the resources, we have the money, we have the ability. That takes us up to 2007. Let's have a look at where we've got. Solar power by country. It's not that impressive. We haven't really done a lot with solar. In fact, solar takes responsibility for around about 2% of all of our energy worldwide right now. 1% of that is electricity. The other 1% is other energy use. So we're not doing very well with solar. We've had that since the 1950s. Banning plastic bags. Well, there's a lot of intention, but note the wording on this slide. National level regulation to limit the use of plastic bags. Banning plastic bags, not have banned plastic bags. Planning to do so. In some of these cases, yes, they've absolutely done it. But in other cases, they're just still talking about it. And some of these are not bans. Some of these are, you've got to pay a little bit of money if you use plastic. Or there's a levy on organizations, corporations, companies, if they want to use plastic. So we're not doing very well there either. That amazing city that Abu Dhabi wanted to create, well, you'll remember that was starting to be planned before 2007. This was a story that came out about Masdar City, which is what it's called, last year. And currently they've built the tiniest, smallest part of that complex. I mean, it looks all nice and futuristic and wonderful, but that was 2005, it's 2022. It's Abu Dhabi where they have all the money in the world, and they still haven't done it. They still haven't built it. Turns out we're great at setting intentions for sustainability. We're not that good at actually getting it done. So how do we do these things? Well, we go top down or we go bottom up, right? So let's look at top down, and let's dig a bit deeper into what's going on there. Top down, we're talking about governments, regulatory bodies, inter-country organizations. And we've got so many declarations and agreements and accords. Millennium, Kyoto, Paris. You can see them all up on there. That's actually not all of them. I only put a first sort of 20 up there. There are literally hundreds of accords, agreements, plans, ideas, thoughts. It's all there. It's great. The latest one in Europe is Fit for 55. No, that's not a new exercise plan for people that are slightly older than me. That is their plan to get to 55%. Now, here we go. We look at 12th of December, 2019. EU leaders endorsed this 2050 climate neutrality objective. So basically what we're saying there is that in December 2019, they all sat around and talked about it. Fast forward to October 2020, and how far have we got? Well, we got to the point where we decided that a reduction target of at least 55% by 2030. So between 2019 and 2020, we did some excellent talking. Fantastic. How did we do between 2020 and 2022? Well, we got to the point where we reached a general consensus. We've talked about it enough to figure out how to talk about it some more. We've gone from 2019 to 2022 talking about it, doing nothing, just talking. Fit for 55 right now is about the same as every blockchain project on the planet. Does anybody know what blockchain projects are developed in? It's not JavaScript, it's not Kotlin, it's PowerPoint. This is as far as we've got. We're developing things on PowerPoint, we're developing things in our minds, we're developing things in committees, we're talking about it in big circles. Are we actually getting any of this done? No. In fact, if you think I'm being a little bit glib about it, or if you think I'm just trying to drive a point home by looking at the last 2 years, let's have a look at 1973 to 2018. Show me extensively where our reliance on fossil fuels has changed massively since 1973. I mean, the biggest difference that you'll see on that slide is that oil and natural gas have kind of had a little bit of a shift. We've actually increased our dependence on coal. We've not done really very much at all in terms of reducing fossil fuels. 1973 to 2018. If you look at the last couple of years, it, of course, still hasn't changed. What are we actually doing? We're talking about all of this stuff a lot. We're not actually doing anything about it. So top down isn't very effective, it seems. So let's have a look at bottom up. We're all in this together, yeah? There's billions of us on the planet. Surely if we all do the right things, then we can make a difference. And we're constantly asked to make a difference. We're constantly asked to not use single-use plastics, to reuse, to recycle, to repair. Who'd imagine it? Back in the Second World War, it was, basically you wouldn't either repair something or you would make do with it. Now, if you've got a slight snag in your top, you're straight down to Primark or Zara to go and buy some more amazing fast fashion made out of materials that are produced so much every year that actually every single year we produce enough fabric to clothe everybody on the planet 7 times over. And it's cheap fabric. It's cheap fabric that is largely created by underprivileged people because we can pay them as little as is humanly possible to do so. What a wonderful, wonderful world we created. We're asked to reduce water and energy usage. We're asked to avoid waste, to grow our own food, to shop local. Hands up, anybody in here who grows your own food? 1, 2. Okay, that is a very tiny percentage of people. Congratulations to you, I applaud you. Shop local, well, let's look at the reality of it. If you have a green grocer near you, well, congratulations, because most of them have gone bankrupt and out of business, because most times we've got Edeka and Walmart and everybody else, and we all go to these massive supermarkets to go and buy our food. Some of those supermarkets, well, most of them, in fact, you go to the groceries, you want to buy a lettuce, so that lettuce probably travel 8,000 miles to get there. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And we're asked about environmentally conscious transport. Everyone's idea of environmentally conscious transport in 2022 is a Tesla. Let's remind ourselves. You remember that graph, that chart, showed us about all the fossil fuels? Anytime an extremely smug Tesla driver comes up to you and says, "Hi, everybody, I'm saving the planet," please remind them that their car is currently powered about 70% by coal. Because worldwide, we only produce around 30% sustainable electricity. So, if they're being smug, just remind them that they're driving a car that's 70% powered by coal. And when they quiz you, say, yeah, we dig coal out of the ground, we burn it, spins turbines, that's how we get electricity. How did you think we get electricity? Think it's magic? No, it's mostly coal. So, our idea of environmentally conscious transport is skewed. Electric cars, electric vehicles, they're not the answer until we get over the tipping point of at least 51% sustainable electricity worldwide. And we can't really count on citizens. I mean, if there's anybody in here in blockchain, I'm sorry to upset you, but it turns out that centralized is better than decentralized in this particular case for once. Human beings, we're terrible, aren't we? Like, we're given a choice of 3 bins, either in our houses or in airports or train stations or wherever on the street. And, we've got something on our hand and we're like, which one do I put it in? Oh, it doesn't matter, I'll throw it in that one. Or we make mistakes. When you make a mistake and you put something in the wrong trash, you don't go in there and pick it up and put it in the right one, you just leave it. Because we're lazy. Humans are inherently lazy. So why do we count on citizens to separate all of our trash into the right places? We can't. This facility you're looking at on screen is not only a fully centralized recycling solution that can identify everything much more accurately than a human can, and deal with it all in a centralized way. But if you look at most analyst studies on central recycling and sorting and dealing with recycled products, turns out it's actually a lot more effective and a lot cheaper for governments to install these sorts of centralized solutions than it is for them to ask human beings to do it for free in their houses and in public spaces and out on the streets. So why are we actually asking citizens to do this at all? I mean, a lot of people would suggest that the reason that governments ask human beings to do all of these things, to follow rules, to blindly just do everything they say, is because we just want dumb people walking around paying taxes. We don't want people to have freedom of thought and freedom of movement and freedom of everything. We really just want everyone to follow the rules because it's a lot more effective in terms of bringing tax money into your government if everyone just follows your rules. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you can decide for yourself whether that's the case or not. But it turns out this is the cheapest, most effective way to get it done. Why aren't we doing this? I hope you like my pun. California knows how to tardy. If we look at California, California is one of the most wasteful states in the United States. And the United States, of course, is one of the 2 most wasteful countries in the world when it comes to energy use. I don't know if you know this, but on average, all of us, on average, produce about 9 cubic tons of carbon dioxide emissions a year. A homeless person in the United States of America is producing 20 cubic tons because that's the baseline. That's how bad the United States is. And California is one of the worst offenders. And of course, California has droughts all the time. There's always lots of complaints about droughts. So, what happens? Well, the local officials spend a huge amount of money, and you can go and look up how much money they spend on billboards and campaigns telling you to look after your water usage. Turns out that less than 30% of water usage in California is due to citizens. Most of it is commercial, industrial, agricultural, water movement, wastewater management. And some of the biggest offenders are those that are drilling for those fossil fuels, fracking. The mega dairies are incredibly wasteful when it comes to water. But of course, the officials aren't putting any pressure on those businesses because there's some transactions going on, and they don't want to lose the money coming from those transactions. The onus is put on bottom up, and we push and we push and we push to make each and every single one of you change your behaviors, and yet that's only going to fix a small percentage of the problem. The other thing it does is because of the way that we tell you to do these things, if you decide that you're one of those people that wants to save the planet, you become a martyr or a hero or an activist. You start to walk around telling everybody, no, this is the way you should live your lives. You start to walk into parties and instead of saying, hi, I'm Stewart, you go, hi, I'm vegan. Because that's what we do. I know that's a glib joke, but it's the reality of the situation. And the problem with archetypes is that if you are a martyr, if you are a hero, if you are an activist, we start to flip into one of the worst diseases in the entire world. No, it's not COVID-19, it's binary thinking. Binary thinking is killing us all right now. We have got into a situation where respectful, healthy debate has been lost, and we have decided that the most complex human problems can be boiled down to a coin flip. Team Android, Team Apple. That's a really simple one, right? How about let's take several hundred years of really complex history and not understand it at all, but just go, Team Israel, Team Palestine, pick a side. Or any other thing you want to pick. And of course, that means that as you are that archetype, you're that hero, you're that martyr, you're that activist, what are you doing? Well, you pick a side, and then you polarize everybody that follows you on social media and in real life. So then we have all these thousands of micro-polarizations. We're polarizing everybody that follows us online. We're polarizing people that we like, love, care for. They now think about us a little bit differently because they don't agree with our side of the coin. How are we going to, as society, all join together and get shit done when we're all splitting each other apart? Binary thinking is a disease. Micropolarizations are the result of that disease, and we're not going to get things done if we keep on splitting each other up. Now, all of the things I'm saying, I think, are completely reasonable to a lot of you. I'm seeing some nods where I can actually see some of you because the lights are very bright. I'm seeing lots of nodding here. It's very good. Thank you for all the nodding, sir. But that's because we're all reasonable human beings. We probably have slightly centrist to left-leaning socio-economic and socio-political understanding of the world. What about the wing that's on the other side? How would we actually take any of this and convince those people that this is the right approach, that we need to start working together? Because after all, in terms of a lot of those policies, understandings, leanings, there are a lot of things that are being done in order to make sure that more fossil fuels are being dug out of the ground. It's all about the power to control the money. It's a real pickle, because we all want to save the planet, but then we're all probably centered to the left. On the right, probably don't care. Well, I've been thinking about that argument. If we think about global warming, obviously, global warming, you either agree it's happening or you're a denier. Let's say that you think that global warming is true, and let's say that we do nothing. In your world, humanity suffers. Let's say that you think it's false, you're a denier, and we do nothing. Well, I'd like to propose to all of those people that like money, that like power, that actually you're going to get fewer consumers because we're going to have more people die. And the more people die, the less people there is to buy your terrible little products. And therefore, really doing nothing is not the answer, potentially, because what if we're right? What if more people will die because we don't save the planet? Fewer consumers, less money. If you meet somebody that is a global warming denier, maybe put it to them in consumer terms, financial terms. Whether it's true or false, if we do everything, if you're left-leaning, we're going to save humanity. If you're right-leaning, you're going to have more people to sell stuff to. It's a win-win. So, which is best? I mean, we talk about top-down, we talk about bottom-up, but maybe there's a third way. And this is the thing I've been musing for a while. And I think the technology industry has the key to the third way. Because one of the great things about tech, one of the great things about startup land, is we have the opportunity to scale anything that we create massively. And one of the things that we can use to scale massively across the world is this humble device right here. The smartphone is an amazing thing. There's currently over 3 billion smartphones in use right now. And that number is continuing to go up. So we can take something, we can build it, we can get it out to market, we can get traction for it, and we can scale it massively to billions of people. So the tech industry is really, really well placed to solve this problem. But how does the tech industry solve problems currently? Well, I'm going to talk about a new way of doing things, a third way of doing things. And I'm going to point out some of the things that we maybe don't necessarily do very well in the tech industry. The third way is based on 4 layers. And some of these are stealth. It turns out that we have to do things in quite a stealthy way sometimes within the tech industry, because if we're going to go and upset people with money and power, and we're going to show them that we can potentially upset them in a very big way, we have to do it incredibly stealthily, because otherwise bad things happen, either to the startup or to individuals. I'm being very blunt and honest about that. And I've seen it actually happen. I've been in this industry enough times to see some really bad things happen because some startups, some inventions, some devices have actually potentially, have the potential to upset a lot of people with money and power. So our first layer is front of house. We have to choose technologies that are high growth, that are sexy, crazy cool, and that are globally scalable. Now, what actually happens in the startup industry is somebody has an idea. I think it's a great idea. They're usually from Stanford. They leave, they go, and they talk to the Stanford old boys. The Stanford old boy goes, "Oh, you remind me of when I was, young. You remind me of my youth. Here's $175 million for a toaster." Actually, it was a juicer, but that's a different story. That's how we do it. And then, of course, people go away. They try to take that money and build the thing that they had an idea about. They realize that actually they can't do it. And then it doesn't go to market, and the investors lose their money. What happened to doing market research to see if people actually want the thing that you're going to build, and then asking them if they'll pay enough money for you to be able to make a reasonable profit from that? What happened to building businesses based on profit from month one, not building businesses based on taking other people's money with the fact that you've probably got to give 10x back and then not actually getting it done in the first place? But it's okay. You bought some great ping pong tables and some Titanic-themed meeting rooms, so it's okay. The money was put to good use. What we need to do instead is we need to pick these high-growth, sexy, crazy, cool, globally scalable solutions, but they have to be different, unique, interesting. They can't be the 700th version of something that already exists. I still get, as a journalist, 200 to 400 pitches a day from people who want me to write about their startups. And 99.9 recurring % are copies of things we already have, or things that really just won't work in the first place, like a $300 product for a problem that you could solve with a paperclip. So we've got to pick the right solutions. We have to lean more towards gynocentrism instead of androcentrism. Androcentrism is sort of masculine energy systems. Gynocentrism is feminine energy systems. Masculine energy systems, androcentrism, includes competition. We're always told about competition. We've got to be the best. We've got to be the first. Competition presupposes that everyone else has to lose in order for you to win. I don't want to live in a society like that, where we're just constantly making everyone lose. How about we lean more towards gynocentrism, like collaboration, connection, not just between organizations, not just between companies that are also doing similar things to us, but with our potential clients. Why don't we lean towards that? In fact, that is the way to move forward. Imagine creating a solution that solves an incredible problem and then creating an API and SDK for that solution so that everyone else can use it too. How about that instead of just trying to win and be the best and put everyone else out of business? How about taking everyone else that's doing it and elevating them? And then we need to move towards conscious capitalism, profit for purpose. And when you are making good profits, reasonable profits, profits that will allow you to live, but profits that are in excess of what you need, you can identify other solutions that can make a big difference in the world. You can invest in them and you can install them. Imagine creating a company that does one thing, but simultaneously changes the entire landscape of electricity production around the world because you're installing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of devices like solar panels or whatever else you want to implement. When you do that, we end up with compound elevation, because what you're doing is you're taking a whole bunch of startups who've got great energy production solutions, and you're elevating them, and they, in turn, will elevate you. You lift them, they lift you, we change things for good. And we do it through conscious capitalism. Because, frankly, there's a lot of billionaires out there who are doing it the wrong way. They're taking all their money and building a bunch of rockets to so you can get into space quicker. How does that help us? I'm going to leave you with some cases, some case studies of people I think are doing it right. Plan A, amazing startup out of Berlin. Patagonia, I'm sure you've heard about them in the news recently, but if you haven't, you're going to just in a second. Southwest Airlines, Unilever, all of these are big companies or startups or scale-ups that are doing what I'm saying. They are building something amazing. They're collaborating. They are then using their profits in sustainable ways or in conscious ways, and they're helping to grow the entire industry. Patagonia, for example, Yvon Chouinard basically gave away the entire company to the planet. He's worth $3 billion. We've got a company's worth $3 billion. That money is going to be spent on sustainability solutions to combat climate change. And to give you an example of how many layers deep you can go on this, Plan A, Lubomir Jordanova, she created this incredible startup. It uses AI and machine learning to basically figure out how to reduce your carbon emissions. They target big companies because, as I say, top down, we need to target the big companies because bottom up, don't forget, we're not making a huge difference. If all of us live as sustainably as possibly, we're only making a tiny difference. But they help big corporations to reduce their carbon emissions. By the way, that means reduces that company's costs as well, so they can make more profits. But as well as that, they created the Green Tech Alliance, which has over 1,000 members, 500 plus advisors, and 10 partners to help elevate the entire industry. Green Tech Alliance is full of lots and lots of startups and scale-ups that are doing amazing work just in the way that Plan A are. So they're taking some of what they do and elevating the entire industry while simultaneously attacking the problem from the right direction. These are the people that I want to emulate. These are the people that I would like all of you to emulate. Because we have the future in our hands. It's time we actually stop talking about it and do something about it. Thank you very much.